to DIY tomorrow at 5 Eastern on DIY, online at DIYnet.com.
Welcome back. This is the show that gives you answers to all of your automotive questions. It's Talk to DIY.
Our next question is probably one of the most common we receive. It happens everywhere in the country, every day. It's a voicemail from Chris in Texas.
I got a 95 Dodge Neon. Every time I try to start it, it doesn't start right away. I have to press the gas to get it to start. And my battery light's on. What's the problem? I don't know.
All right, Chris, what I'm hearing from you is that you have to press the gas pedal to get your vehicle to start. Here's what's interesting about that 95 Neon. By pressing the gas pedal, you're actually doing what we used to do with carbureted cars, which is to give it more fuel and air, and your car isn't interested in more fuel and air. The actual system that you have is fuel injected, so ideally, you should have your foot off the gas pedal or not depress it. So the fact that you're pressing the gas pedal is really incidental to the vehicle ultimately starting. It sounds like something else is happening, and when you're pressing the gas pedal, that's sort of incidental to the car starting. What I'm really saying is it's taken too long for your car to start, and what we need to do is find out why is that happening. Whether you're pressing the gas pedal or not really isn't helping or hurting so much as it is reflecting another malfunction. What I'm thinking about possibly would be lack of fuel coming into the fuel injection system. Now, your vehicle is a 4-cylinder fuel-injected engine, and that means it doesn't have a carburetor. So what could go wrong with a fuel injection system that might make that vehicle slow to start? Couple of possibilities. First of all, is the system getting full and adequate fuel pressure? The way to find out is to go to the Schrader valve. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, you need to know where this is. The Schrader valve for the fuel injection system is located on the fuel rail. Similar to this one. Something like what you do when you put air in a tire. It's a valve that only operates when you depress a pin inside, which is corresponding with the pin inside this gauge. Now, this gauge has a sweep hand on it that'll show the amount of pressure that you should have. What you want to do is be sure that you're having adequate pressure. So you will put on eye protection, eye shield or eye goggles, something to protect your eyes, because a little bit of fuel will spray out. Also, you might want to put something under it like a rag or something to capture any fuel that comes out. And then once that's secure, the engine's off, by the way, when you hook this up. And then you're going to start it up and be sure you have at least 35 to 40 psi. Probably something like 30 would be minimum for any fuel-injected system. It may be that your system's not bringing up the fuel pressure fast enough when you go to start the car, and that's why it takes longer to start. And then if you're pressing the gas pedal, that might seem like it's making a difference, but what's really happening is you're cranking longer to get the fuel pressure system operating as it should. Sounds like the electric fuel pump may be malfunctioning. Another possibility would be, once the vehicle starts with this hooked up, you should see a change in fuel pressure when you disconnect the fuel pressure regulator, which is on this fuel rail, is down at this other end of the system. The fuel pressure regulator, if it's not working, then disconnecting the vacuum line to it will have no impact on the pressure. You should see a pressure change on the gauge when you disconnect the vacuum line to this device called the fuel pressure regulator. If the fuel pressure regulator is malfunctioning, it might be a reflection of why, or it might be an indication of why your system is not operating properly when you go to start it in the first place. Now, briefly, to conclude on that, Chris, you need to have your fuel injection system checked with a fuel pressure gauge, or get a fuel pressure gauge from your parts store to test it. Another possibility is, when you talk about your battery light being on, what that tells me is your charging system may not be operating properly, which indirectly could relate to why it's not starting well. If you don't have adequate voltage, maybe it's not your fuel injection system. What you need to do is get out your digital multimeter. If you don't have one, you need to get one, and go to your battery, put on safety goggles so you're safe for your eyes in this particular step, and then what you want to do is put it on the voltage scale, the 20-volt scale here, and check to be sure you've got 12.6 volts or 12.4, 12.2 volts, something like that. When you crank the engine, it should jump up on your digital voltmeter with the engine running to like 13.5 volts or higher, which would indicate your alternator's working. If the alternator's not charging, it'll stay at about 12.4 volts. So those are separate issues, but maybe they do relate in the way the vehicle's not starting. Lastly, be sure you've got your engine properly tuned, you've replaced your spark plugs recently, and other parts like that. Those may relate to your hard starting situation. Thanks for your question, Chris. And Lauren, oftentimes a no start is really a process of elimination, finding out what is it that does work, and then you can kind of narrow into what is not working.
That's true, and that's our job, to answer your automotive questions. Next, we'll be having a question about bugs sticking to the front end of your vehicle. Stay with us.
All right, do write down our phone number and stick it in the fridge on the with a magnet or something, because it's 866-TALK-TO-DIY. And the next time you're having car trouble, think of us. Pick up the phone and call. We'll be right back.
For the parts and advice to keep your car running right.
Are the stars out tonight? I don't know if it's cloudy or bright, 'cause I only have eyes for you.
How can a cereal so simple taste so good? Life is full of surprises.
You've got a great car, and I like you. Yeah, I like you. And I like you,
Get up to $5,000 cash back during GM Summer Drive now. Have fun with it.
I know. How about Crazy 8s? Nah. Or we could watch this Princess Moon party. Maybe a sleepover was a bad idea. I'll be right back.
It's more than just that great peanut taste. Jif is a simple little reminder of just how much Mom cares.
Does your mom cut down the middle or across? Across. So how's it going, girls? We're doing great.
Great. Moms like you choose Jif.
For the parts and advice to keep your car running right.
If you believe less is more, you have an experienced Maui Fine Living style. The Fine Living Summer Beach House giveaway is everything you've ever fantasized about.
Aloha!
14 nights at a spectacular beachfront villa, 8 round-trip tickets, plus a new GMC Envoy XUV. Live the ultimate vacation. The Fine Living Summer Beach House giveaway, brought to you by GMC. Enter now at fineliving.com.
Playing this month on Dish On Demand pay-per-view.
It is time.
The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King.
What do you want from me?
What do you want for yourself?
The Last Samurai. Take a break from routine TV. Order a pay-per-view movie from Dish On Demand.
Let's do it! There's a place I know where the happening to moviegoers go.
Sounds groovy!
Yeah, fun places to go, fun times, and fun tune stars to know.
Sounds fun!
Well, yeah, that's what I said. Come on, let's go. It's right up ahead.
Drop by the most funnest place I know to catch Toon Disney's double feature movie show. Fridays and Saturdays on Toon Disney.
I'll be there.
Welcome back to Talk to DIY. I'm Steve Ford.
I'm Lauren Fix, and on today's show, we're taking some of your toughest detailing questions, helping you keep your car or truck looking its best.
And as you know, from time to time, we send our camera crews out to parts stores and auto shows for the sole purpose of finding out your questions. Carrie met up with them and asked this dirty question.
I would like to know the best way to remove bugs from my bumper.
Hi, Carrie. I know that sometimes we get these bugs on the front of our vehicle and we can't get them off. We've tried everything, and that's why I'd like to bring in our detailing expert, Jeff Jeppesen from Classy Cars, to guide us through this buggy problem. Jeff, can you help us out? What's the first thing we should do?
Sure, especially on the fresh bugs. What I'd always use is when you wash the car, use your bug sponge. You can go to the auto parts store and get a bug sponge from your local auto parts store.
Okay, that'd be similar to a scouring pad?
No, scouring pad a little too rough. The bug sponge is more of a soft sponge with a webbing that goes around it.
Okay.
It helps take all the bugs off. It's like a very soft kind of scraper item.
Okay. Now, we've tried that. We still have quite a bit of bugs left here. What's your recommendation in a case like that?
The extra stubborn ones or those extra old bugs. We use a clay bar. Clay bar removes them just fine on the extra old stubborn bugs.
Okay, this is kind of a sticky product.
Yeah, you want to spray the lubricant on there that you have. There's a spray lubricant that usually comes with your clay kit or your clay bar that you get.
This is like what you told Steve earlier, same type of thing.
Yes. Spray it on in a little maybe 6-inch area and then just rub lightly and then wipe it dry and it should take the bugs right off for you.
It is taking it off. Look at that. I have to remember that next time I get those nasty bugs I can't get off.
There's also another product that's out there that we use off and on. Many companies manufacture it, which is a bug and tar wipe.
Okay.
And kind of like the handy wipe. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, these are designed for. Yeah, and those take it off. Look at that. It's taking it right off.
Yep.
Okay, and you can see they come off on the wipe.
Yeah, the wipes are a great item. You keep those in your car, and you can wipe down the bugs real easy. We use the clay bars on the real stubborn ones, the old ones.
Okay, and then afterwards you got to put on a good wax, I assume, after you use some of these wipes because it takes off all the wax?
Exactly, yeah. Put a nice fresh coat of wax on the car, bring it back up. And also the wax acts as a two-part deal because it helps you remove the bugs the next time's easier.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your help, Jeff Jeppesen from Classy Cars, our detailing expert. Steve, some of those bugs, they just will not leave that bumper.
You're right. Cool tips on how to remove them. Okay, we still have a little time left for a quick question from our email bag. This one's from Donovan in Arlington, Texas. He writes, how do I change spark plugs on a 1999 Ford Expedition 5.4-liter engine? The dealer wants $350 to do this. Can I do this job myself? Well, it depends. Do you want to do it yourself? I think the dealer's charging probably what is consistent with a reasonable amount of labor for this vehicle. There's more to it than you'd expect. Let me show you in my computer a shot under the hood of a vehicle similar to yours. As you look in here, you can see there's some components that have to be removed before you get to your engine. And to get down here a little bit further, you'll see actually there's a fuel rail right over the coil packs. I'm putting my arrow right on the coil pack right there. Is that the coil pack for all 8 cylinders? No, it's not. There's a coil pack for each one of the 8 cylinders in your engine, and that's what makes it more involved. You have to remove the coil pack from each spark plug. Each spark plug has its own coil. The coil pack has to be removed first. It has 2 7mm bolts on it. By the way, that cylinder head has recessed spark plugs. I've drawn a little illustration here to show you what I'm talking about. And if you look here, you can see that I've drawn this is the cylinder head right here. Now normally you have a spark plug that's out here on the side and you access it on the side of the cylinder head. Your engine has a recessed area and the spark plug's located down here at the base and the coil is located on top here. So what happens is you've got to get extensions to go into that spark plug via the top of the cylinder head and put your socket right on the extension. And to get to that, you've got to remove the coil packs, you've got to remove the fuel rail, and to do that, you have to disconnect the fuel line. So you want to have a fire extinguisher nearby and be sure you're wearing safety goggles. But another tip is don't use a standard 5/8 socket or the spark plug will fall out. You want to be sure you use a proper spark plug socket. It has a rubber insert in it that holds the spark plug in that recessed head. And look at that. When you pull the spark plug out, you lift it out and it stays in there. Otherwise, it'll fall right out. Last tip for you in that particular vehicle, extra labor to get those spark plugs out of a recessed spark plug area on that cylinder head. Be sure to use anti-seize compound on the end of the spark plug threads because you're dealing with an aluminum cylinder head, and an aluminum cylinder head bonds with the steel of the spark plug if you don't put the anti-seize compound on there. So it might sound steep for that job, but it's a big do-it-yourself project or a fairly big professional project.
That makes a lot of sense what you said, Steve, about having 2 types of metals next to each other. It's called electrolytic corrosion, so that anti-seize compound is a very good DIY tip.
One of those big fancy terms. All you have to remember is don't let it seize. Use the compound. All right. As always, keep your questions coming and we'll keep the answers rolling your way.
And we'll be taking a short break, but when we return, it's time for Class Auto 101, an entry-level course in your vehicle systems and how they work. Coming up